Hi there. You're listening to the Voice with Action podcast. I am your host, Deb Balico.
And I am Rebecca Pratt, co-founder and president of Orphan Relief and Rescue. Tune in to be awakened and inspired to take action towards what you were created to do in this world, to live fully alive.
Hope you enjoy this previously recorded interview with Luciana and Pedro Bartes on the Sound of Puget Sound radio station in Seattle, Washington.
Rebecca came to the show last week, and by the end of the interview, the 25 minutes that we have to be on air, we had so many more questions that we were like, can you come back next week? And she said yes. So Rebecca Pratt, she is the president and co-founder of Orphan Relief and Rescue. She's also the host of Voice with Action, Sundays at 2 p.m. on 8:20 a.m. KGNW, The Word. And she's here today again to talk to us about Orphan Relief and Rescue. Thank you so much for coming again, Rebecca. What are your greatest needs right now?
Yeah, greatest needs is partnership for people to pray. Number one, it's a spiritual battle.
You got
Pray
it.
for us. Pray for Orphan Relief and Rescue. Pray for our staff. And then giving, giving of your finances. Everything we do is through people who give. Your dollars are utilized very well. We utilize every dollar to the fullest. We do what multi-million-dollar organizations are doing on less than $1 million.
Are you in the United States or just here in Washington?
Yeah, so I actually live in Austin. Our office is in Burien.
Right.
I moved to be close to my grandchildren in Austin. I've got 7 grandkids down there.
No.
So,
nice.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, yes. I have to be near the babies. But our office is still here. We have full-time workers there, and then we have different virtual workers. I'm a virtual worker. I work 9 to 5 on the programmatic side, and then I travel 4 times a year. But we have 31 staff that are locals working in the one West Africa country, and then we have a few in the other one, Liberia. And we're working with partnerships in Liberia with other organizations to help accomplish what we want to do. And then we're just grassroots in this other country, just doing crazy, amazing things with our team on the ground. And they're my heroes. I mean, they're in it. They're in the thick of it. I just come in and I get these beautiful stories.
But you started all Rebecca. I mean, you were the one that took your kids there and say, okay, let's do this. And you have to have something.
Yeah, I'm the administrator. I'm the administrator that makes it all work beautifully in partnership with the Lord and in partnership with who's the hands on the ground. And it's all of you listeners that are the givers and the prayers. And I always say, you know what? The success of what we're doing is the people like yourselves that say, I want to be a part of this, and I'm vested emotionally because I've heard the stories now, but I'm going to be a part of this. And if you have extra resources, put us in your will. That's a legacy that can live on forever as well. So there's different things, people who have the resources, put it to good use. Right. Put it to where people are doing incredible things in partnership.
Let's convince our listeners right now. Share some of the stories with us.
Yeah. So we have a little boy. We call him Albert. We protect his name,
Good.
But at 5 years old, his mom and dad both died, and he couldn't speak. And so all the community basically called him deaf and dumb. They had this word that they think that spiritually, since the gods made you this way and they didn't care about you, we don't care about you either.
Discarded of society.
Totally discarded. So he's wandering around looking for food at all the neighbors. They're kicking him. They're beating him away. They're treating him like an animal. Mm-hmm. And the social welfare office calls us, and they said, this little boy, Albert, he's going to die if somebody doesn't take him in. We don't have the resources as the social welfare office. We don't have a place for this little boy. And everybody literally thinks that he is, in a sense, like a witch, because the demonic realm has hold of him is what they think. And they think he's not mentally okay as well. So we take him into our program, put him in a foster home, and I say, take him to the doctor immediately to get professional evaluation. Well, all he had was a tongue tied. In America where you have a little bit of extra skin under your tongue as a baby?
Yes.
And they catch it in the hospital the first few days of your life, and they do a little snip under your tongue so you can have free movement of your tongue. That is all he had. So they called me and they say, he has a little bit more of a tongue, underneath. Can we have the doctor snip it? And I'm like, yes, please, So they snipped it, and he immediately had free movement of the tongue to be able to start to talk. And then within 3 months, he's not only talking, but he's singing, and he's knows the language because he's heard the language. So he totally knows. But there is nothing wrong with his brain. And he now is a teenager, and he is top of his class. He is a high achiever. He's very quiet still. There's going to have to be some healing that continues to go for him. But he's in an amazing foster home that loves him. And he is resilient. He's got a sense of humor, and he's, regularly joking with different ones. But I'm looking at him, and I'm like, he was left to die. Yeah. He was left to die because of the society around him that literally didn't understand. And it was a simple little medical thing that just needed a little tongue snip.
And I bet you, Manny, there are many more kids like Albert that need your help. That need our audience to help.
Yeah. So the joke is I go in the social welfare office, and they have a huge pile on their desk. And that's like their open file. Literally a pile. Like I would say if you're, you can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but it's about an 8-inch pile of files, child after child after child, that they do not know how to help because they don't have the resources, and they don't really, they're complicated situations. And that is exactly why Orphan Relief and Rescue came into existence. We came into existence to help the children that no one knows exactly what to do with, or they don't have the resources to help in those complicated situations, and they don't fit anywhere within a program. And it's just, unbelievable.
We have to make this pile disappear.
Exactly.
So, how can people help? What is the website? Do you guys need also maybe some people that want to help in a different way?
Volunteers.
So they can go to orphanreliefandrescue.org. Volunteering-wise, if they want to come on a trip, I do trips to West Africa regularly. This year I'm doing 3 team trips, and a lot of it is just loving on these kids, sharing Jesus, a lot of discipleship stuff. We do community meetings as well, and just sharing. I say, be prepared to share your testimony and share the goodness of Jesus, And so volunteering-wise, it's more like tangibly going and loving on kids. We don't bring you to build something because we hire locals to build the stuff so we could give them jobs,
Now, what kind of reaction do you get from those volunteers? I go there for the first time and see them.
They say it's the most incredible trip of their life, and it changes their life. It's changed my life every trip. I mean, I've been doing this now 17 years, and every time I come back, it's unbelievable. And I'm just like, all I can say is, wow, God, wow, God. So there's in the tribal language where they were translating as I was sharing these wow, God moments, and they kept saying, wow, Mao. And I said, what's Mao? And they said, well, that's God in our language. And I said, so this is a wow, Mao moment? And they said, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so wow, Mao.
Sounds super rock and roll. Now, Rebecca, you are the president of Orphan Relief and Rescue.
Yes.
You are the host of Voice with Action.
Yes.
But you also wrote books.
Yes.
Tell us about these books that you have written.
Yeah, so I'm a co-host with Deb Bellico, one of our staff members with the podcast, and she's amazing with putting all this together. And the books are Inspired to Action is the first book that really was entrance into this whole other world. What do you do when God gives you all of this mammoth scenarios in front of you of need? What do you do? And literally learning to say yes every day to the Lord, just yes to the little things, and then it grows bigger and bigger, and literally seeing miracle after miracle with those yeses. So that's the first book, Inspired to Action, and I really want people to be inspired in their own life as they read the book. It's not going to be depressing. It's going to be
inspiring.
Yes, it's going to be inspiring. I don't want any more depressing stories that have like an ending that make you want to slit your wrists and go to bed, So, and then the second book is Inspired to Live an Extraordinary Life, even through difficult circumstances. And that is a lot of these anti-trafficking redemption stories. And little Albert's story is in there as well, of just God doing above and beyond what we could ask or imagine. and seeing the redemption of all these kids over and over and over, and just the wow Mao factor, the wow God factor is all through that book as well. And just, encouraging people that, we serve this incredible God.
By the way, you can listen to Rebecca on 8:20 a.m. KGNW, The Word. It's Sundays at 10 a.m. How do we get a hold of your books?
Yeah, you can go to Amazon.com, and Inspired to Action, How Following the Promptings of Your Heart Can Change the World is on there. And then Inspired to Live an Extraordinary Life Even Through Difficult Circumstances is on there.
I want to share with the audience, they have to go to your website. We were talking before the interview today. Some of the videos that you guys have posted there are amazing. So what's the website again for people to go and check that and see those videos that are really compelling?
Yeah, go to orphanreliefandrescue.org.
Rebecca, we always say that our program is talking to people that make a difference in our community. How about someone that makes a difference in the world, right?
So, Rebecca, you went there a long time ago with your kids. Your kids are all grown up now. What did they learn from all of this?
Yeah, they all have a heart. They all have little ones at home. I have 9 grandkids with my 3 biological kids. Uh-huh. And so they do have a heart for this. One day they would like to go back, but right now they're in the thick of little ones.
Of course.
So they pray for me, regularly, and just they always, every time I come home, they're like, "Tell me stories, tell me stories." And the stories are unbelievable of what God is doing. So
you cementing your life with that experience when you're a kid. I imagine that when you grow up, you have to be an amazing person too.
Yeah, they have a heart for others. Everybody in their path, they have a heart. Just to see them come into a knowledge of Jesus as well. And, just a mercy heart.
Can I ask you about you? How did you grow up?
Yeah, I'm actually a missionary kid. My dad
knew it. Your parents took you somewhere. You learned.
Yes.
All right, tell us about that.
So, they were missionaries in Mexico, dragged 5 of us kids through Mexico, and just had a heart. We just watched them with the mercy heart of Jesus. And they, my dad was feeding hungry kids in the garbage dump areas, of Mexico. And we lived in Chihuahua, Mexico for a season. And so I grew up seeing the sadness of life without Jesus, number one, and the hunger for Jesus and the transformational message of Jesus when they come to Jesus, how everything changes, So I grew up with that. And when I would see Feed the Hungry commercials, of hungry little children, I remember crying on one of those commercials and my dad turning the TV off. And he said, "Oh, this is too much for you." I think I was like 4 years old, Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking when he turned the TV off, I said in my heart, one day I'm going to feed hungry children, And so when this work all started, and I literally was at one of the orphanages with all these hungry little children following me as I was leaving one of the days, I looked back and I literally had this flashback of,
I always knew it.
Oh my gosh, I'm doing this. I'm feeding hungry children. And I literally in my mind said, this was my dream. This was the dream. And I literally felt like God spoke to my heart and said, no, this was my dream that I put inside of you. And I literally, tears just flooded down my eyes as I said, oh my gosh. And I literally knew in that moment that everything that he had put into my heart to complete for that one particular orphanage that we were trying to help, and it was 109 kids in these deplorable situations, and God had mandated me personally to go help them literally survive. And so in that moment, I knew God was going to do everything that he put into my heart, because this was his dream, not my dream.
So when you were 4 years old, he planted that seed, and it worked.
Yeah.
There's a tree out of that. Has he planted any more seeds?
I take day to day. I tell my staff, don't go looking for more kids to help. We're doing plenty. We've got over 600 kids that we're feeding every day in the villages that have been intercepted from being sold or have come back from slavery. And we have 64 kids in the orphanage safe home that have no parents alive or have been abandoned, that have been rescued from really difficult situations. So for me, I'm like, this is plenty. Yeah. This is great. Just no more. And it's kind of a joke because we just helped 35 more kids either from being sold or who've come back from slavery in a neighboring village. And I had told those villagers, if you bring back your children, we will help them. Not thinking they would actually do it.
Oh.
And then 2 months later, we have 35 more kids. And my country director there, he says, Rebecca, you promised if they brought them back, you would help them. And I'm like, oh, I did.
Don't say a word.
Okay.
They'll become a truth.
You know what, Rebecca? People are listening to this right now and they say, okay, Rebecca is going to help. We are going to help too.
Yeah.
So what's the website for people to go and help, Luciana?
Orphan Relief and Rescue.org, and you can find so much more information. Rebecca, one of the things that you shared with us was little Albert's story.
Yes.
Do you have any stories that you can share with us from the parents?
From the parents. Yes, actually, we just had last week a woman who is married to a very abusive man who had already trafficked 3 of her older kids. Mm-hmm. She came because she came to one of our monitors on the field and she said, my husband just took my other 2 children and he's going to traffic them tomorrow and I need your help. And so our monitor said, you need to go to the police and you need to ask the police for help. And she says, no, because if I do that, the whole village will ostracize me.
Oh,
yeah. They'll kick me
there's
out.
that
You don't
too.
tell on the father, you don't tell, even if he's abusive. So the monitor said, well, if I go with you to the police and I'm the one speaking about this to the police, will you go with me? And she said, if you go with me, yes, I will do it. So they went to the police station, told the police. The police immediately got involved, went to the man's house, took those 2 children away from him and said, this is illegal, what you're trying to do, to take him to the neighboring village. He said, I'm giving them back to the mother. Now, the mother had already not lived with him because he was so abusive. So she was living somewhere else. So she got the 2 kids back. And this police officer said, those other 3 children that you have sent away and trafficked them, it's illegal what you have done. So if you do not bring them back, I'm putting you in jail. And he put pressure on the man. So the man had to commit within 3 days. He was going to bring back those 3 kids. So last Thursday, he brought back those other children from slavery. So I get the report this week, and I get pictures of these 2 little ones that,
they brought back
4th and 5th child. And these kids are like 4 and 5 years old that he was going to traffic this last week. And so I'm looking at him like, oh my gosh, these babies were just saved, And obviously the other 3 are saved. So there's 5 kids, and the mother was given all the custody of them, from the police officer. So, of course, the social welfare office will be involved in all of that. But I'm like, this is 5 kids that were just rescued. And this mother is doing nothing but thanking my monitor and our staff.
She got back her whole family.
Yeah, so those kids immediately are put onto our program, our feeding and school program. She's put onto our savings and loan program to help, So it's a full circle. But those every day, there's some crazy story where I'm just literally like, is this real? Is this really real? And it is.
Rebecca, we were talking about how we can help you. And so we said, visit the website. You can make donations. You can volunteer. So orphanreliefandrescue.org. Do you get any official help from the government here or in any of the countries in West Africa?
Yeah. So probably 4 years ago, we got a little 30,000 U.S. Embassy grant in Liberia. But we haven't gotten any other government grants or anything like that.
You need us.
So we need you. We need you. And Orphan Relief and Rescue really is the lifeblood of what we do is people such as yourselves that pray and give sacrificially. And God is duplicating everything you give and duplicating your prayers. And it's just, no prayer has gone unanswered in the heavenlies is what I believe, because none of this would be working if it weren't for the Lord.
So remember, orphanreliefandrescue.org. And once again, you can listen to Rebecca on 8:20 a.m. The Word, Sundays at 10 a.m. Is there a phone number if anyone wants to reach out to you and maybe ask how they can help Orphan Relief and Rescue?
Yeah, so you could go, when you go to the website, orphanreliefandrescue.org, you can email us at the info, email, it says contact us form, or our phone number is on there as well. And so really the website is the best way to find
you find
all
everything
that,
there.
as well as our mailing address if you want to send in a check, or if you want to put us in your will and you're trying to figure out how to do that, call our office and email us. And just
people, please do, because what you guys do is absolutely incredible. You're an incredible person. We are blessed to have you today with us. And thank you so much for giving us some of your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Voice with Action podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, would you consider sharing or subscribing to this podcast and leave a 5-star review to help us grow? If you want to reach us or help us end child trafficking in West Africa, go to orphanreliefandrescue.org. That's orphanreliefandrescue.org. See you next week.